Hello and welcome to BonkTable. I'm Mass, and today with me is Karl Franz.
Hell yeah.
So we are playing Total War Total War Warhammer 3, and we're doing a co-op campaign in the Empire, so we're gonna fuck around and find out. But Karl is gonna tell us all about Spires.
I know a few things about Spires. I've played them a couple times,
I'm glad.
at least.
So for the first thing is, how'd you get into Spires? Why'd you pick Spires? What was kind of the reasoning for that?
It's the same way that Ben got into Spires, which is I split a starter box with someone, and they wanted the 100k.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. And then turns out their playstyle kind of synced up with what I wanted to do anyways, so we just kind of made it work. And yeah, now we're here. And I win a little bit with Spires. I've played them a few times.
You're doing decently well with Spires, is what I'm hearing.
Indeed, decently.
Well, that's good. What are the strengths of Spires?
So realistically, it's the toolbox faction. So they have you can build a generic list that basically has an answer to everything. And it's very easy to fit those answers in while playing the game that you just want to play. You don't need to tech into counters for things that you'll find. The lists just naturally build themselves that way.
Nice. Then what are some of the weaknesses of Spires?
The stuff as a whole, with a couple exceptions, it's really your units are more than the sum of their parts. And so if you are only playing with the sum of their parts, then you'll kind of just get picked apart by factions that have better stuff, like Nords, Dweg. You'll get outstatted by basically everyone.
Okay, so
OD, 100k, city-states,
so you really got to lock those parts in and cannot.
Yeah,
you can't really separate yourself out. Is the tools in Spires, like the regiments, are they more how do I say this? Like, they're very specific on, like, not very, but they're more specific on what they want to do and what they want to handle compared to some more generalist stuff that, like, maybe 100k has, like Man-at-Arms can anvil, Household Guard can anvil, Gilded Legion can anvil, Household Guard and Gilded Legion can also deal damage. Like, do you tend to find Spires things more specialized?
I would say a little bit of yes and a little bit no. I guess. Sorry, can you repeat the question? We're gonna figure this out.
Do you find that the regiments in Spires are more specialized than other factions' regiments? Like, some factions have regiments that can double as, like, anvils and hammers, like Guild Legion and Household Guard? Or do you find that Spires has more specialized stuff? Like, Marksman clones, very much your kind of like your ranged damage dealers, like Incarnate sentinels, are kind of something that's more tanky in the game, like stuff like that.
Yeah, I think they're specialized, but within a broad category. So your Stricks are light harassing units that are just going to kind of go in and just make they make your opponent deal with them. I think the most specialized units in the faction are probably maybe the A-bomb, because like A-bomb can be really good. An A-bomb and Siegebreaker, so they're monsters. They're good when running into stuff that they want, but otherwise fall pretty far flat. Other than that, a lot of Spire stuff is really good at a lot of things. Like Vanguard clones double dip as peace traders, and just like they're very good peace traders, and they're very good scorers, and they're just very good at running down a backline with the Vanguard. Onslaught drones are objective chuds, but also like if there's a unit that you just need, if there's a bastion shield unit that you just need to put some damage on, burnout is a very good rule, and you just get a lot of hits on them. Sentinels double as your hammer and anvil. They're basically your Death Star block. So really, they're specialized in the fact that if you catch them doing something they don't want to do, it'll be a rough time, but also they just do a lot of stuff. Like, I wouldn't say particularly more or less specialized than many other factions. Like, I guess maybe less specialized than Nords, certainly, but still, like, decently so.
Well, that's good. So then, like, what's your favorite warband?
Pheromancer.
Okay. So why is the Pheromancer your favorite warband?
It makes it into every list that I build and run, just because Pheromancer, Avatar Projection, and Brute Drones with Stricks, it fits into everything. It's cheap comparatively, and it just, like, it puts in the work. It's a very strong warband.
So, at the top of the list, like the army list, or let's go talk about your army rules. That's a good one we should talk about. So, because Spires has a variety of different army rules, I know, but it's mostly based on what character warlord you're taking, kind of similar to how Dweghome does it. So, I know one of them is Directorate, and then I think you have Directorate, under Spires, and then I think you have a third one, but I totally forget what it is.
Yep, it's Sovereign Lineage.
Okay. So let's talk about Under Spires first. Or, yeah, let's do that one first, because I think that's your favorite.
Yeah, Under Spires is one I like. It's one that I certainly have a lot of experience with. So that one is tied to the Pheromancer Warlord directly. You can't run it outside of a Pharaoh Warlord, but what it does is gives your drones, so Onslaught, Brute, and Force Grown, regen 4, and Strix. Regen 4 is gross, Massed Army Recursion is pretty gross, it is very good. It was even more so back when Brute Drones were 150 points, and basically just criminally undercosted.
Yep.
It's still quite strong, but, like, it's not as broken as it was back then, thankfully for everyone. But yeah, so in that one, you'll typically see the Pheromancer core of the warband basically just double it and give it to the next person. So you just double the Strix and the Brute Drones, toss a couple more stands onto the Brute Drone that you're shoving the Warlord in, and then you just fill out the rest of your list. It's really, you'll find most of the time, Pheromancer and High Clone Executor are pretty much making it into every list, and then it's kind of season to taste outside of that. Marksman clones are very good. They're just, they always get so much damage, just because they're always going to be shooting something once they hit the table, and they score, and you can toss an Executor in there to spice up the damage. They're just a very good unit.
Also, you can put disformation on them, and then they can't be countershot.
Yeah, exactly.
It's super annoying when someone does that.
Yeah, you sound like you speak from experience.
Yeah, it's like I've had to deal with this against you and locally. It's super fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very fun for the Spires player, at least. Yeah, then Sovereign Lineage is, honestly, it's, I'll just make the equivalent of it's the wannabe Dweg, because we always say in testing that, like, Dweg is the keep your stats faction. Sovereign Lineage just kind of lets you emulate that, because you start running around and all of your relevant infantry and brutes, all of your relevant stuff just has Clash 3 base, and that's just really strong. That one's tied to the Highborn and the High Clone Executor Warlord, but really you're just going to see it on the Highborn Warlord. You just don't really run Executor Warlord. It's not worth doing so in any real capacity at the moment, which is really funny because he has a very strong one-turn supremacy. It's just, it doesn't hold a candle next to the other stuff.
Yeah. So we talked about Underspires, talked about Directorate. And was it Sovereign
I guess we
Lineage?
didn't.
Did we talk about Directorate?
No, we talked about Sovereign Lineage a little bit. So the main thing with Sovereign Lineage is you take it for the Warlord with the Highborn, because the Lineage Highborn in Ascent block as Warlord is just the single best unit that Spires can put on the table.
It can deal damage, take a hit, and deal more damage, and also it's maneuverable. Like, the amount of upgrades that things can take, and the way you do it is just, you just get all your toys.
Like it does everything.
It's like your cake and eating it. Yeah. So the biomancer. Do you want to talk about the biomancer? Like, what's good and bad about a biomancer if you take it in one of your lists?
So what's good? He's like a linchpin combo piece. Same with the Pharaoh. He's got the deadly shot. He's got the unstable enhancement, which are his two main biomancies that you'll see. He takes mastery of flesh really well. He's the one who really wants to be getting double mancies every turn. And he generates so much value for the list. His major downside is his warband is atrocious.
Yeah, he's got. Well, before we get into his warband, I guess you would build the biomancer for the warband. But what for his biomancies, what are the ones you're going to be using the most often?
Pretty easily going to be deadly shot or the Grant Virulence and unstable enhancement.
Grant Virulence, unstable enhancement. +2 its March or +1 Clash till end of round, then you get Decay.
And it also adds to the volley.
Yeah. Oh, does it actually? Oh, it does. Damn, that's good. And what's the other one?
Grant Virulence, which is just the deadly shot or blades on a stick.
Oh yeah, no, it's really good too. Man, you're just going for it.
Yeah.
Then. Yeah, no, that's pretty good. So for his regiments, you take Force Clone Drones and Bound Clones for mainstay, and then Incarnates, Desolation Beast, and Abomination for restricted. What are you gonna put him in? Like, he's very much a support piece. So what regiment are you gonna put him in to keep him safe on the table?
He's just going to be in Force Clones or Bound Clones. Bound Clones if you want him for scoring, but a lot of times he doesn't want to necessarily be stuck and locked on a point, so a lot of times he's just running around in a unit of Force Clones between 3 to 5. The big block is tempting, but for as expensive as a character, or for how expensive he is as a character, it's just not something you really want to be letting get into harm's way.
Okay. So then let's go to Force Clone Drones. What's good and bad about Force Clone Drones? Why are you taking them, if you are taking them?
So you're taking them very rarely as a mainstay unlock. I try to avoid this at all, if at all possible. Every single character has a better mainstay unlock for 120 points. You want to find the 30. You don't really want to be running MSUs of Force Clones unless you don't have another choice. They are ludicrously good when they are blocked up because they have the ability Purposely Mindless, which always lets them use the highest resolve. That is just one of the strongest unit abilities in the game because resolve is relevant. Especially when you're dealing, when you're within Pheromancer, Warlord, the unit just doesn't take resolve damage because you're on 5s, rerolling 6s perpetually. For the entire game duration. And so they don't do damage. They're only 3 attacks, Clash 1. Realistically, if it weren't for a lot of the buffs that they can take, they should probably be Militia Bowman costed. But because of the Purposely Mindless, and just the buffs they can stack, they're probably fine. And I mean, if you're running them for damage, their main source of damage comes from Aura of Death on Cascading Degeneration or Lethal Demise. Their way of doing damage is not actually doing hits. Even when I ran the Executor in that big block a lot, and that unit's damage came from the Executor on the Clash. If it was doing Clash damage, it was the Executor.
Neat. Um. Okay, let's go into bound clones.
Force Crones Plus. They are a solid unit. They're more expensive men at arms, but they get Spires buffs or the ability to use them, and they pick up Evasion 1. They're actually pretty spicy in Sovereign Lineage with Superior Creations because Clash 3 bound clones are pretty nice.
Yeah, you can hit something and deal some damage.
Yeah, exactly. Turns out that's pretty good.
I always find it funny when it's like, yay, Clash 2! Like, god damn it. I wish I could hit something today.
There's so much with Clash 2.
Yeah, like... Yeah, there's a couple things where it's like, man, I kind of want to see, like, Clash 3. Just so I could get some hits. Like...
Yeah.
Oh, man. But... Yeah, at least you can superior create them to get to Clash 3 for, 15 points, 5 points per stand, so... It's not a lot of points to be effective in combat to become a threat, what I do enjoy with them. That Evasion 1 is really strong as well. Like, surprisingly, it'll just, save wounds. And you're like, oh, sweet, stuff's alive. And you're like...
just getting saves where you normally wouldn't get any is just value.
Mm-hmm.
Like, an MSU can barely survive against something with decent cleave just because it has that Evasion 2. And that's, stuff living when it normally wouldn't is just the definition of value. So...
Yeah. I like bound clones. I also like that they're mediums and they can score.
Yeah,
it's just
they are the cheapest scoring chuds that we have. There's a solid B tier list that runs a block of it's a high clone executor with degeneration in a block of bound clones. That have an assault preceptor and superior creations. It's the only list that I voluntarily put an assault preceptor in, but it's actually kind of spicy because it's like that force grown drone block, except it kind of packs a punch in melee. It's it's inspiring up to Clash 4, and with a bunch of attacks, and the command stands re-rolling with preceptor. So toss some deadly on it, and you actually have kind of a scary Spires infantry block.
You know what, something I really like about Spires is that their ability to combo and combo effectively. I guess we'll eventually get into it, but how Spires, a lot of its strengths and how you can tell from a beginner Spires player and an experienced Spires player is how they build their stack, their command deck, to benefit from all the different combos. Because as we've been going through these just couple regiments and starting this conversation, you've been mentioning a lot about all the combos and abilities, and as we know, I've had to play a couple Spires players or two. But you can really tell when a Spires player understands what their list does and how the faction works is when they start messing around with their command stack. I think it's the Pheromancer would have some of the bigger ones for draw this card.
The Pheromancer is the stack manipulation character.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into him. The Desolation drones are coming out. What's your thoughts on those guys?
It's
BonkTable.
We're looking at them. Yeah, we're looking at them. Because I found out from a conversation with Leo that I can actually say that I'm a NDA tester.
Oh!
I didn't know we were actually allowed to do that. But yeah, so they're getting looked at. Don't dissuade yourself from buying a box based on their current rules, because based on their current rules, I would look at them longingly on my game store shelf and wish for a day where I would actually want to buy one.
Yeah. I'm gonna save the Incarnate Sentinels for the Lineage Highborn, because I know that block is really fun to talk about with her. But
it is
abomination.
Although,
go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna talking about them in the biomancer is very different than talking about them with the highborn, and it's actually kind of a fun conversation because they do a very different thing in Directorate with bio.
Let's do it. Tell me about them.
Yeah, so sentinels, they actually became playable in biomancer after a change last September, because what they used to do is they were Clash 2, they could only get Clash 3 from being superior creations. So you just couldn't put them in biomancer because you can't really play them at Clash 2. And
No, that is true.
yeah.
They were.
So then, once they got kicked up to Clash 3 and got that point increase, they started looking a lot nicer. And they are a very mean peace trader in the Biomancer. They are the only native cleave 2 that Spires have access to.
I know during the days of like Defense 5 Dwag, it was like Spire. I know a lot of Spires players were not happy because it was like, well, I have to take Incarnates, and they're Clash 2. I mean, it's like, ugh.
Yeah. It was a little rough. The first time I played Brian at Adepticon, 2022. No, 2023. I was just throwing stuff at his block. Like, I killed everything else, but I couldn't kill that D5 block, and I just had to kill everything else and score out. But I was throwing sentinels, force groans. I was just trying to bog it down, and it just wouldn't die because it was D6 and he had tokens. But yeah, they're very good now, and like when you start tossing buffs on them, like you can just unstable enhance and burn out a block of Incarnate Sentinels in a Directorate list, or just unstable enhance them. But if you do the double tap, they're charging 12 inches before dice, and they're Clash 5 rerolling 6s. So then they just hit with everything. And that MSU is, like, sometimes you need something dead. You'll take a lot of decay, but which is why I prefer, like, stacking Deadly Blades and just unstable, because Clash 4 native with the effective cleave 3 is just it's gross, and it's an effective MSU. I'd say it's like the only restricted that I'm actually putting in bio lists right now. A-bomb wants to be good very desperately. He's just not quite enough.
Yeah, so what are these guys doing? just running. What would you do to kind of, I don't want to say like fix the A-bomb, like what's its rules? What's it trying to do? Like what's it actually trying to
It's
accomplish?
high volume. It's a very fast heavy with terrifying. And cleave and flurry. Like, on it, a package, it's very good. And I've gotten good value out of it in lists before. In a lot of Adepticon practice, I ran it up until, like, the week before. And then I was like, okay, I really miss the cleave 2 from Sentinels. And that's kind of the problem. Like, Spires aren't wanting for high volume hits in any capacity. And that terrifying one doesn't do anything against Ashen Dawn and Old Dominion, and even some other like important matchup things. And Sentinels are just more consistent. I think if he had flank, you would fit him in as a second heavy, because he gets on any point in the game on turn 3 at March 10. Because that March 10 is ludicrous. Like, the March 10 is his selling point.
Yeah, this is like completely fucked up because of this hill. Let's get in, boys. Yeah, no, I've seen some people like really do some like good work with that March 10.
Yeah, like I've seen a list with 6 A-bombs, and it's like, okay, that's a meme. It's a terrible list. Don't do that. But like it wants to be good, and it doesn't need a lot. Like, just picking up flank might be enough. Probably flank a couple wounds and take him down to March 9, because March 10 is ludicrous.
Are we winning today? Like, man.
Your men-at-arms look a little bit inept.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Although they are only fighting skeletons, so...
Yeah, I'm gonna eventually win.
Yeah. Is Elspeth a melee character?
No, she's a wizard, but she's good enough. She's a lord, so you can just send her into combat. You do this with Balthazar Gult all the time.
Well, yeah, like, Nefertari is so fucked because she, like, has upgrades to make her melee-based, but then her animations are, like, regular sorceress animations, so she doesn't have any mass attacks. It's pretty annoying.
Yeah, like, you'll just... slap that on those guys. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, no, it's kind of fine. Jesus, get moving, guys. People did not want to move. No, yeah, I like the abomination as just like a fast tech piece, but not as like doing stuff. I find that if you want him to work, like do the heavy lifting, he's not going to be one of those characters that does the heavy lifting, and
a
lot of the time it shows.
He used to be like. He used to be 130, and he was probably too cheap at that and spammable, but also, like, he only is really going to do 130 points of work.
Shoot, handgunners, come on. I know this map was terrible for terrain, but come on, we need to shoot today. There we go. Cool. Did we talk about the supremacy ability on the biomancer?
Yeah. No, we haven't yet.
I don't believe we did. So, what is that? Proximity sensors. Friendly regiment in range of objective zone counts as they are in range of friendly biomancers for the purpose of performing biomancy. Do you ever make him the warlord because of that, or no?
I've tested lists with it, but I wouldn't run it competitively. It's just a little bit behind the other two. I've seen lists that I think are delusional that with him as the warlord that is trying to basically play Spires like they used to play, like in early 2.0, and it's just not there.
What was his he got a supremacy change. Was that during version 2 or was that after version 2?
Like, that was like very recent, because his old supremacy was actually unplayable. It was like you decay your entire army and they get better at kitting stuff.
Oh my god, what the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, they only took the decay if they were in combat, but still, it was rough.
Yeah, no, that is.
Now, making stuff scoring is good. Like, making Stricks score is very good, because of that unlimited range on objectives, and he has a directorate-only biomancy that lets stuff score. Making stuff score is very good. It just has trouble holding a candle to the raw value of, like, hey, you get to play at 2100 points, because that's, like, the Highborn Warlord trait is literally just here, have 100 points. The Pheromancer Warlord is, you get to play under Spires, so you get all this recursion, and also, you just kind of stop taking morale.
Yay.
Yeah.
No, you didn't level up. Well, whatever.
I build an outpost.
Yeah, because we're friends.
Yeah.
I am now making friends with everyone else. Give me your money.
Oh yeah, we get to do that because with the Empire, there's like so many things that we get early deals with.
Yeah. You want to talk about the Pheromancer? Like playing into Spires and everything, I put more I like the Biomancer, I like the Underspires for the regen. The Pheromancer just doing all his weird Pheromancy crap is just like, what the hell is happening? So yeah, what's going on with him? Like, what's good about him? What's weak about him? Tell me about him.
So his weakness, I guess, is he doesn't want to take a duel.
You say the same thing about the Biomancer.
Yeah, and Brute Drones are only defense 3, but like realistically, he's so good. Like, he's so good. Induced Lethargy is insane. What else is insane? There's a lot of stuff insane about him. But yeah, just like all around, he is that guy. He is your dude. His Pheromancies, are you good to end the turn?
Oh, I've already done it.
Oh.
I'm waiting for you.
Alright. Yeah, like all of them, all of his Pheromancies see use in games. Like, I use all of them.
Okay, well, let's start with the Supremacy ability. Suppress Survival Instincts. I believe that's the Resolve reroll?
Yes.
12, reroll failed, resolve. God, that. So when I initially read that, I'm like, yeah, okay, that's kind of cool. I don't really see it being that great though. Like there's High Clone Executor with his draw your next 3 cards. I still thought was the best. You know what? After dealing with his nonsense, that reroll resolve is very strong.
The number of fights that I started in your private server because people thought that the Pheromancer Warlord was bad is like more than 3, I think. It might be more than 4. Because I just will not abide that opinion.
It's not private. People can join the BonkTable Discord. It's in the description below.
Oh yeah, that's true. I consider it private because it's a Conquest Discord that's off the main server. That's not part of the main server. But it is your personal Discord, I will say. Okay. But yeah, it's so good. You do it correctly and you build a bubble and then you just don't take resolve damage, and not taking resolve damage is huge. And because it spikes with other stuff, like terrifying is less effective against you if you're re-rolling resolve. It's just it's so good. Usually try to get it on most of the Peace Traders and the Force Grown block and the Pheromancer's big block, and it's just everything. And yeah, it's just value everywhere. Is Gelt already dead, or did he move somewhere else?
Gelt is over in Cathay. He is currently trying to ride the dragon. Or sorry, he's chasing the dragon, I believe is what it's called by the kids.
Wasn't he in around here for a long in Solent for a long time?
Yep. Now he isn't.
I guess they didn't want 3 Empire legendary spawning next to each other. Yeah, that's fair.
You imagine that? Alright. Time to take over the Empire.
If you're not friends, that would be a problem, I would say.
Well, when I played my Gelt campaigns, I would actually just get into a fight with Null. Just so I could take over Null, so I can build the special building that lets you get Hellstorm rocket batteries at tier 3 Null.
I do love Hellstorm rocket batteries.
Oh yeah, I guess what do you think I'm trying to build up my whole economy for?
Probably Hellstorm rocket batteries.
Yeah, it's the power of the gunnery school is real. Can I just straight up oh see, look at that.
I'm good to end turn.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah. But yeah, it's a ludicrously strong supremacy. We'll just put it there. It's always on, and then because I consider Spires army rules tied to the supremacy, and so because it's tying in, if you're running that supremacy, you are also getting regen. So that's huge because, the damage margins start breaking down in that circumstance. You will have units that should break that don't, which means they can regen, and you will have units that should be dead that will then survive, unbreak, and then be able to regen on a further turn unless they're killed all the way. It doubles down on the recursion aspect of Underspires. It's ludicrously good. It is one of the better supremacies in the game.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's really strong. So his Pheromancies. Now there's which one is it? Pheromantic Overdrive? No, that's the JoJo's reference. Is it Pheromantic Drive is the one that lets him play with this deck? Yeah, draw your next command card.
I gotta look. There's so many Pheromancies that have very similar names, and it's just Spire's abilities in general. So yeah, Drive is... Yes, Pheromantic Drive is the one that lets you flip into the next card, and they can double activate. Or they can perform the same action twice.
Yeah, that's really good. I know there's the kind of the joke meme with the Siegebreaker Behemoth where you can make it clash twice. It's just funny.
That is that's not a very good use for it. What's actually a very good use for it is double volleying Marksman clones that have an Executor with Biotic Hive in there. That is something dirty, I will say. And then you take a little bit of decay, maybe lose a stand, and then you just heal it back the next turn.
I have to find a general. It's not shit. Should I just get a Master Engineer?
You're recruiting a second army?
Yeah. It's time to get my Gunamancy going.
I guess you do usually do that a lot earlier than I do.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, hold on. 2, 6, 8. How many can I throw in here? I can throw in 7. Let's recruit 6. Yeah, okay, there we go.
Ugh. Pyrrhic victory.
Give me your knights.
Say, I don't know if I want to see. Let me look at the. Yeah, Pheromantic. So Pheromantic drive is good for that one. Siphon Strength is like the generic piece in the Pheromancer entourage combo, where you have 2 brute drones in your list, and you have them both with cards under the Pheromancer. You Siphon Strength his own unit, and then put a brute drone card at the bottom, and then you entourage into his own unit, and then you just go ham.
Yeah, I've seen that happen a couple times. It's just like, oh god.
Yeah, it's something dirty.
Yeah. Do you use pheromone gland? Do you use gland burst? This is out of avatar.
Oh yeah. +1 march.
Yeah, no,
yeah, huge. The +1. I don't use it for the plus resolve a lot because usually if something's in range for like in combat for plus resolve, I'd rather just lethargy whatever it's fighting. Oh, yeah. But I use it for the march a lot.
No, I've seen that one because like so when you activate your Pheromancer, you use one of its Pheromancies and then you'll use its action to either do +1 march or resolve or induce lethargy, what's like the -1 defense.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Then accelerated hybridation is your generic. If I need to, like if I need to heal something, toss it on the bottom, heal 4. A 4 healed is really nice. Induce vigor is it gets used. It is one of the less used ones, but it's really great into gun lines and like Dweg, where you're taking a lot of shots and spells, because then just Tenacious is really good into that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, just he has a lot going for him. My god. So yeah. Like one of my big issues with Spires is the it's actually like the naming convention, because it's like all that it's like Pheromantic drive, Pheromantic convulsion, Cypher. I'm like, what the hell does half this shit do? Like, my god, it just confuses me. And then like the mutations, it's just a big list. It's not broken down into categories. It's just like, here's a big list, go to town. It's like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, Spire stuff. It's easy to figure out.
It's just my thing is like trying to figure out which ones to ignore and which ones actually matter is my problem when I look at Spires. That gets me. So, as a Pheromancer, what do you not want to play into? Because, so did we talk? Induce lethargy. So we'll talk about induce lethargy. Jesus, and then we'll talk about as a Pheromancer what do you not want to play into. So, the -1 defense within 10 inches. This is super strong.
Yeah.
Like,
it is ludicrously good.
Marksman clones love it. Basically anyone loves it because it's like you can cleave on just any regiment basically. It's super good.
Yeah. It is very good.
I'm just gonna take this now. I'm deciding if I want to auto-resolve this and just lose one unit of swordsmen. It's not like I care about them.
It is a move. I might just go in and auto-resolve on mine.
Okay. Yeah, like it's like because a lot of times I'll see someone put it on something and then like Marksman clones will go and you're like, oh my god, I used to be defense 4, now I'm defense 3, or now I used to be 3, now I'm 2, or it's like, well, I was defense 1 and now I'm 0, so now I just die.
Yeah, and like you're getting shot with stuff, and like getting lethargied and then peppered by Marksman clones is an unfun experience. 10 out of 10 would not repeat. Yeah, it's just like Spires just have it is like the best tool in the Spires arsenal, like for utility. It's why Pheromancer makes it into every single list that I run. It's good. Is about all there is to be said for it.
No, it's super good. That's gonna do all that. I don't know why this keeps flashing at me. Yeah. So what does the Pheromancer not want to see? Like, what is he afraid of?
A bad player.
Nice.
Like, honestly, like, so he is very hard to play correctly and to learn to build your deck around correctly to get the most value. He is difficult in that regard. But that is the counterpoint to him being basically like the best character as far as just like shoving him into a list.
Is he the best character in the game?
I don't know if I would go that far. I don't necessarily like making those kinds of
statements.
Yeah, because like there's stuff that's going to be situationally there, but I will say like he is no character finds himself in every list that I write like Pheromancer and Spires.
No, that's fair. I don't want an outpost. There we go. All right, well, let's get into his warband. So he's got, those good old forest-grown drones, and then we have, I think, is this possibly your favorite unit, the Stricks? I feel like you like Marksman clones. Like we've played and we've talked. I think you like Marksman clones, but I think your favorite unit is actually Stricks, just because you get to do the most nonsense thing to people.
I mean, I have the best stories about Strix because Stavros watched me play them and then decided that he wanted them to get nerfed. That was more of a personal pride token. But like, it's hard to say favorite because like they'll always die, but like they're just a very good unit. Like March 10, lethal demise. Like they died in 9 hits. But like you don't care because they're March 10 lethal demise. You get them somewhere the opponent doesn't want them, and you just push the advantage. You shove hard. It's basically all there is to it.
No, that's fair. So what do Strix not want to deal with? Like, so what are Strix good for? Like, we kind of had your personal anecdotes. Like, but what are Strix good for, and then what are Strix don't want to deal with?
Strix are good for harassing other lights, denying scoring to your opponent, and just not letting them play how they want to play. They are just such a good utility unit. They do what you need them to do, and they pretty much always make value. What you don't want them to run into, things that lethal doesn't work great into. So, like, Nords are a very good matchup for them unless it's castled correctly with like spellcasters and shooting to shoot them off of things that they're touching, and then things that don't take resolve. So like Old Dominion, it's not great because they don't trade well into OD, but they also like will still get value. Like last time I played Steve, they basically, I don't want to say won me the game, but they stopped him from scoring on turn 2, and they shoved a point turn 3, and they basically kept the Praetorians from getting where he wanted them to go. And they're a very good roadblock, and you don't care if they die, because when they die, they take lethal.
Mm. Yeah, lethal demise is really good. Super annoying to deal with.
Kazrak, the one eye, is about to come down into me.
You just poke out his other eye and tell him, Kazrak, no eye, get the hell out.
I think so.
It's usually what it devolves into. It's just like, get the fuck out of the Empire. Alright, we've done it. I now have a Gunamancy army. To war!
No, I'm gonna have to go look at that shenanigan.
I said, yeah, accept my war.
I did.
There you go. I'm just gonna sit here and shoot this guy in the face.
That is a lot of guns. I don't even have handgunners yet.
No, this is what you do as Null. You get the guns. You can cause terror. You could be fast. I don't know. Yeah, I really like Strix. Like, they're such a great unit to just kind of like screw with your opponent, basically.
They get value wherever they go.
Yeah, and I've seen some players like be too cautious with them and then like don't throw them up there to get into zones, or they don't wait for a fall. Like they'll throw them up and they'll just get mobbed and killed before they can do anything, but they don't have a follow up. But like if you play them right, they do a lot of work. And something I've noticed a little bit is you kind of keep them back a bit and like wait out your opponent. You're gonna be in a really good spot.
Yeah, getting too aggressive with Strix, like, you'll still get some value from them, but not as much. Holding them back and zoning just it frustrates people because you want to be able to move forward, but you can't because there's Strix there. And they're just Strix, but also they're just Strix.
I don't want to do that. I hate this map because it's like, oh, here's your entire deployment covered in forest. It's like, thanks. Where am I gonna go?
Oh, and they got the Hog Riders.
Yeah, so it's like I can't space out my stuff very well.
Yeah.
So this is either gonna go real bad or real good. I just auto resolved it. That's fine. Then we got onslaught drones. Are these the guys that do damage? Like they attack a lot?
Yeah, they got 5 attacks, but they're Clash 2, Defense 2, Resolve 2.
I think we're gonna
Who's across the board.
hit it up right on this hill.
Yeah. Yeah, they got Burnout innate in their profile, though, which is why they're really good at holding objectives, because they walk onto a zone, and then if someone decides to fight you, you're just kind of like, okay, Burnout. And then you do a bunch of damage.
Then you just kill some people. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, in the OD matchup, I really like them as a follow-up, or as an early aggro piece into the Praetorians. Just because they can strip away. Like, you can't count on them to actually kill the block, but they're good to get a bit of damage and to zone them. But then most of the time, they're kind of playing back and just, like, their plan is to live and get on objectives. And that's fine.
Oh, don't go that.
Those should be all of his mainstays, though.
Yeah. And he's got Brute Drones. So he can take. Is it him and the Biomancer can take avatar projections?
Yes.
Yeah. So he can go into a unit of Brute Drones. So it's really nice.
Yeah, he goes into a unit of Brute Drones. That's where he goes. Yeah. I don't bring a Pheromancer without avatar projection and Brute Drones. They're where he wants to be. They're his bunker, and that's fine. Like, my LVO list where I was running double Pharaoh, like, that was good, and a good call then, but then Adepticon under Spires was, it, like, once Brute Drones got nerfed and you weren't bringing 4 of them anymore, it just turned into bio. Because the unmounted Pheromancer just doesn't provide as much value as the fully spec'd out one.
Kind of just killing them.
Yeah. That unit's gonna make it up the hill.
Which one?
This one. The Savage Orcs by their Warlord.
Oh no! Get over there. That's why we have these guys up front.
Indeed. Some of you will die, but that is a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Yeah, I really don't care about the footman.
Spoken like a true man of the 100 Kingdoms.
Yeah, I really don't.
Although the 100 Kingdoms aren't the Empire. I swear to I should be allowed... Okay, you know the thing where it's like retail workers should be allowed to fight customers once per day?
Yeah.
I should be allowed to fight people who suggest that the 100k gets a griffin once per day.
Oh my god.
Like, just fist fight in the street. Because it's not the fucking Empire. Like, 100k is not the Empire.
Or was it the trebuchet monster?
Yeah.
Every time. It's like, please stop.
It's bad, but it's not as bad as the straight up griffin, because people are like... I'm like, okay, you've been playing too much Total War Warhammer. It's a great game, but the 100 Kingdoms are not the Empire. Stop trying to make them into them.
Yeah. Oh, come back. You're running off. Yeah, so I gotta think here, because this is like a terrible terrain setup that I actually have to pay attention to.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, brute drones are fantastic. They are still good at 170, even after their points nerf. Not as spammable as before, but that's honestly fine. They impact 3, 5 attacks, flurry. Flurry's a good rule. They get a lot of hits. They're gross when they have regen. They're very good for double card play with the Pheromancer, because you can sync one to because the Pheromancies aren't attached to the unit, or aren't attached to a card. They're just attached to a unit. So you can buff you can buff your own unit, sync the card to the bottom, and then immediately entourage into the next. Which is why the Pheromancer is also probably the best recipient of the entourage character flip in the game. Like, he is like the biggest winner out of that rule. I don't think there is another character that benefits more than he did.
Yeah, because like with the Dwagholm, like with a Fire Sorcerer and a unit of Fireforge, I tend to want the Fireforge to go first so I can position the the Fire Sorcerer in the proper spot, and then have him go, while Entourage is like, no, you want the character buffs to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there you go. That was Gunnamancy. Shit works.
Indeed.
Prowlers, I don't believe they're out yet, and then we got Abomination. Yeah, he's
we're not talking about Prowlers.
No. So our next character on our list is the High Clone Executive Producer. You wanna?
Also conveniently makes it into every list.
Okay, so what is good about the High Clone Executive Producer?
He brings shooting, and he's like the only way to bring shooting. And even after Prideboard and Leonin are out, you're still going to run him, because the shooting he brings is really good.
Marksman are just, they're oppressive sometimes. They're oppressive actually a lot of the time, and it's working out how to deal with them is like part of the puzzle of Spires, because they're so good.
And like, they're only defense 1, but if you protect them, oh god, like, you're just in for it.
The world is yours. So what is he doing?
He is either in a big block of Force-Grown drones, with Cascading Degeneration. That's pretty much your go-to if you're not running the Scent block, or he is in the unit of Marksman. He's pretty happy either way.
Now, he's got a couple battlefield tactics. Like, he's got Bastion, Double Time, and Loose Formation?
Loose Formation. Yeah, he's basically always Bastion, Loose Formation.
You don't take Double Time that often?
Almost never. I tested it a lot with the Force Growth list.
Mm-hmm.
Bastion is better than the Regen 4 most of the time.
What do you mean it's better than Underspire's Bastion? Underspire's and Double Time?
Yeah, so even in Underspires, which is like where it sees play, because in Sovereign Lineage you run the Cascading with the Scent block. And yeah, even in Underspires, like, the regen is nice, but most of the time the Bastion will save you more damage.
Huh. So, well, no, one of these is double time. So you're just taking Bastion and then Disperse for loose formation. Yeah, like
Yeah.
protection from shots, especially on like big units, small units, any unit is so good, and because it's not like a battlefield drill or a draw event like the other two, you just always have it on.
Yeah, like permanent loose formation is gross. There is no reason not to take it. It is always on. I will never bring an executor without it. If I only had one tactic, and when I only had one tactic, oh, what the fuck is this terrain setup? When I only had one tactic, I only ever brought loose formation.
At
because,
least,
like,
yeah,
that's all you needed. Someone said it was like an afterthought and nice, and I'm like, okay, okay.
no, it's. I think the time I figured out that my local Spires players were not playing Spires very well was when you and I played, and I was trying to shoot into loose formation Vanguard Cone Infiltrators, and it was like, take 2 wounds, and you're like, I'll just heal that back, and I'm like, it's fucking awful. And then it was, oh, I shoot the Vanguard Cone Infiltrators, like scoop up a unit of Merc crossbows, like I'm like, thanks. This is amazing.
Yep.
So yeah,
we were just talking about that last night. That was like one of my least favorite games, just as far as like that list is so unfun to play into. Like it's not hard to beat, but it's not fun to play into.
no, it's. I think I played that list probably 3 times, and one of those games is into you. So one of them is into Cass, where we got to turn 3 and Cass was deploying regiments and just immediately getting shot off the table. Yeah. And so Cass was like, nah, fuck this. And then I played it into you, what I'm glad I did, because it really shows that it can be beaten and dealt with. And then I played it into one of my locals, Colin, who's a really good 100k player, and I was just like unloading into just all his stuff and killing it and like won the game. But
as one does.
Yeah, it's 100% just like a complete skew, and you're like, it goes into the mentality of sweepers and pivots. What's a Pokemon tournament terminology of like a sweeper is you're going to use this list, use this regiment, use this style of play to wipe out your opponent, and if they have the tools to beat it, they're gonna win. If they don't, you're gonna win, and you just sweep the table. If they do, you play your pivot, what is more something that can deal with a lot of old comers. It can deal with the weaknesses of the sweeper. Like, that gunline list is 100% a sweeper list. It has no pivoting. It, like, if I'm up against a ton of loose formation, if I'm up against, I don't know, maybe a bunch of size 1 stuff, like, it's not going to be very well in my favor at all. Shooting is very good into newer players and just less practiced players. It's like, yes, I'm sure that the 6 chariot list, because someone is going to buy that many chariots, the 6 chariot list, we calced it out, it's $800.
Jesus, it will beat a lot of people because it is oppressive on a technical level. That might be justification for a nerf. I don't think so. I think that chariots are a little too good, but I think every army should have something that's a little too good, because, like, every army does have something that's a little too good. But, yeah, like, it's still a skew list, and if you know how to play into it, you just won't lose to it. Like, I wasn't going to lose to that 100k list, but I also didn't want to play into it because it's just not fun and it's not interactive. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm playing Conquest. It feels like, oh, okay. Do I know not to move my stuff up? Yes. Check the box.
Do I know that I need to sit at the back edge of my table and get all my entire army on the table and not feed him one thing at a time? Yes. Like, yeah, it's very much something where, like, it's kind of like a skill check. Like, you know how, like, I don't know if you play MMOs or anything, but, like, there's always, like, bosses where you get to in, like, a raid or a dungeon. It's literally just, like, a damage check, and you're like, well, if you have the damage, you'll beat this boss. If you don't, guess what? You gotta go and get the gear, do whatever.
Yeah. And, it's good for a practice game. Like, honestly, it can be very good for a practice game. Just not fun to play, like, into on a consistent level. It's like my take on double Ashen Dawn, or on the Ashen Dawn spam. Like, I'm not losing to Ashen Dawn. I'm beating the lists when I play into them, but I also just don't like playing into it.
Did you play Huckleberry?
Yeah, he is very good.
Did you win or did he win? I forget how
I
went.
beat him. I beat him at LVO by the skin of my teeth.
Oh yeah, I do remember that one. We talked about that.
That was when they had Wedge. But yeah, Andrew is also an exception because he is like the only person running that Ashen non-spam list that I've run into who like doesn't use it as a crutch for mistakes and who actually just plays the game correctly and is running Ashen Dawn.
Yeah,
it's a scary combo.
He painted his army like very beautifully. Like he did a fantastic job.
He is he's a great guy. Yeah. Yeah, what were we on? Oh yeah, Marksman clones or something. Or Executor in general. He is also the access to the Vanguard units. Vanguard clones are like the only, like they're turn 2 scoring because they have Vanguard, and that's nice and relevant. Also, they're like objective chuds and really good peace traders and superior creations. Vanguard clones do a lot of damage because it's 19 swings at Clash 4. Like, it's relevant damage.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. I also like Skillen's been playing a lot. Not with he was doing Vanguard clone infiltrators, but after the changes to characters, he's no longer doing it. But he is playing Vanguard clones, and he's been holding them back as like his turn 3 deployment, so that if there's ever an objective that you and your opponent haven't really taken over, he can just like shoot them up, take that objective, score those points in relative safety, and he doesn't show his hand early. Or if, you and your opponent are battling it out, he can reinforce a side very quickly with Vanguard clones. And he's been doing that a lot with them, and they're just been super strong in that application. Like, that's how Skill and locally's been using them.
Yeah.
So
it is, it's a huge advantage that the unit has.
You want to tell me about the iClone's supremacy ability?
Yeah, like it's good. I used to play it a lot back when VCI were very good, or just good. But yeah, it's you triple activate, so you declare supremacy, and then you flip the top 3 cards at the same time. It was really fun when I was playing triple VCI at Adepticon.
What the
and there were times back in 2023, and there were a few times where I popped the supremacy and just had VCI, and that was great. That was so fun. Not for my opponent, but that was back when they were Barrage 6, Volley 3.
Yeah, I know. It's because you just were like, yes, these 3 units, you could just take them off the table, like, and then you just have an activation advantage, and you're just gonna win. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and like that list was also 13 cards, so like, yeah, it was pretty gross.
It is really gross. My God. Yeah, he's a good character. So with the High Clone Executor, it doesn't seem like he's a main pick anymore, but you always want to take one for his support abilities and what he brings in his warband for basically every Spires list. Same thing kind of with like the Pheromancer. Just like they have really good options.
Yeah, I would say that's a pretty good explanation for them. Like, yeah, they have good stuff. Yeah, he has like the most versatile warband in Spires because he has really good mainstays that do things, and then he has all of the good shooting hidden in his restricteds.
Yeah. So let's go talk about it. I don't know. Vanguard clones, do you want to talk about them, or does like what I said about them like
I think we've already hit Vanguard clones a decent amount.
Yeah. Then we got what the heck is a practice gun? I don't even know what that is. Vanguard clone infiltrators. Let's slap that on. I'm not gonna fight this battle. How do you play Vanguard clone infiltrators? Because I see people will bring them onto the table. They'll like, oh, Vanguard clone infiltrators are really strong. Yes, they are, but then they kind of play them poorly, and then they just end up dying. So I'm like,
yeah. So they're a very good early threat unit. Like they're still they still do damage, but now that they don't innately score anymore, with the Executor, there's just no real reason to bring them. Because even in Directorate, you're better off saving points and just using Stricks for the early scoring and having Marksman clones that are just tankier. Or, well, not tankier, but sitting back on objectives and just chunking more and are putting themselves less in harm's way to do what they need to do. That's really what it comes down to there.
I gotta overkill a goblin now. That's where I'm at with my life. There we go.
I'm about to be ready to pop turn.
I am too. I'm just doing stuff. So then we'll guess what? Well, so yeah, how do you move them on the table? I think that's kind of the big one because I feel like a lot of people don't deploy them and position them very well on the table.
You use them to so you play them cautiously. You use fluid a lot. You don't need to shoot with them every turn. Like, the threat that they generate with 20-inch easy range is often more significant than a round of shooting, because if someone is holding back and not advancing on an objective with an early scorer because they don't just want to feed it to VCI, that's value. And that also means that you are getting value from them without putting the VCI in harm's way.
I see One Eye over there is harassing you.
Somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, he's literally attacking Altdorf. I hate One Eye.
He's like, give me your money.
Yeah, that's so annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, I do find like a lot of players tend to just kind of throw them away, thinking them that they're like this amazing invincible regiment, and like, no, if you misdeploy them, they'll die.
Yeah, like, they have a lot of output, but like I said, so Marksmen are better in Sovereign Lineage and under Spires, and like, yeah, you can make them score in Directorate, and that's kind of cool, but like, you can also make Strix score and have 50 more points, and like, I would rather bring 2 Marksmen than a Marksman and a VCI if I'm not putting because like, you're putting the Executor and the Marksman in Directorate because he doesn't need to be in harm's way if he doesn't have to. So.
Today on come on, declare war. There we go.
I am.
No, I'm declaring war on some random ass goblins. Then we got Marksman clones. This regiment is insane. Like, they're so effective. Like, how? Go tell me about Marksman clones. I've had to deal with these things way too many times, and I hate them.
They are very good. Like, they make it into every list. Their damage that you get for free, because everything's moving within 22 inches of them. You give buffs. They take buffs better than almost anything else in the faction. Deadly and unstable. It's just gross. Giving something lethargy and then planking it with Marksman, because now they have cleave. Because my favorite thing is when people realize that Deadly Blades is functionally cleave 1.
Mm-hmm.
Or +1 cleave. So when you combine that with Induced Lethargy, all of a sudden your Marksman clones are effectively shooting at AP2 with 1,000,000 shots, and they're ignoring Hardened.
Yeah. Oh. So good.
Yeah, they're pretty vile.
So do you tend to just kind of keep them back on the back edge of your table, and then you kind of shoot at stuff, control zones, and then as you kind of gain board space, you move them up into a zone to secure and lock down for the remainder of the game? Is that how you tend to play them?
Yeah, that's a pretty good description of it. They're there to generate
Control.
They're there. They're there to control the board, give me places to move, and it's really good.
So I'm gonna do something here. Marksman clones are very similar to longbows, except they have like a much higher output and they combo much better with the rest of Spires stuff going on. So they get the deadly shots, they get the reduced legendary for that -1 defense. Like, you have more combination and ability to deal damage with Marksman clones on top of having the higher barrage stat. I know longbows are 2 inches longer, but I tend to find like that doesn't, not all the time, kind of matter a whole ton. Like, if the high clone executor is in a unit of Marksman clones, he can walk up 22 inches to longbows, take the longbow shot at half shots, and then fire back and kind of wipe them out. Do you think that longbows provide the same amount of like board control as Marksman clones do?
Like, yeah, I think at a theoretical level, yes, because longbows are cheaper, and they have that innate AP, and like, yeah, losing a stand of something that's important is losing a stand of something that's important. Like, longbowmen zone very well. City states don't want to lose a stand of minotaurs before they're able to do something. Shoot, I'm trying to think of some of the Nords. Really, like, you get enough shots and you can kind of overwhelm. Just like, longbowmen only lose 1 shot per stand shooting into Fenner. So like, Nords really don't want to lose multiple stands of Uger or Fenner before they can do anything. And like, you can kind of just like plink down Fenner from very long range, even with the loose formation, and that's kind of nice. Bow chosen are very good. If someone says that they are not, or implies in any way that they're not, they're just lying or bad.
But like Cassandra, she's moved into Nords, and one of the big props I have to give to her is that she has, I would say locally, maybe even like internationally, or at a competitive level, has mastered the art of threatening, controlling, and then protecting bow chosen. So like projecting threat, and then controlling the zone, and then getting other stuff in front, while also being able to like get into the flank with bow chosen and keep like shooting shots while your opponent is still dealing with other stuff from Nords, and just get work out of bow chosen through like the entirety of the game. Like, when Cassandra puts bow chosen down, it's literally like, can I kill these, or am I just going to eat bow chosen until I finally just kill all the rest of Nords? And Cassandra's very good at that. And bow chosen are just like, oh, are you defense 3 or less? Like, might as well scoop this up. like, do you have 4 wounds that are defense 3 with resolve 2? Better scoop. Like, god damn it.
It is. Yeah, they are very effective at what they do.
Yeah, like, I think they were range 16 before, and now they're 14. It's like, no, they're still super good.
Yeah, they are very good.
Yeah, like, Nords has other stuff. Like, they have other MSUs to throw up there. They have monsters. They have other things to protect bow chosen. Like, oh, another amazing like shooting regiment. Yeah, but Marksman clones are so good. I find people who like kind of misplay Marksman clones is that they will not target prioritize very well. Like, they'll start shooting into things that are like high defense, like defense like 3, 4 with a shield or whatever, like defense 4 stuff. I find that they'll shoot at things that are in trees, so you're only getting half shots, or like they are having a poor angle and they have to give up their take aim to like get 3 out of their 5 stands to shoot properly instead of just shooting with 2 stands, like stuff like that.
Yeah,
like they don't. I find like players who play Marksman clones not very well is like they're not thinking like 3 to 4 turns ahead of like what they need to deal with.
That makes sense.
So yeah. What are you in a war with? Who is
Orcs.
this? Orcs. Very
the
well.
Black Pit. Yeah.
Orcs.
Yeah, like, you take the targets of opportunity, like you look at what can you get for free, and you just kind of go from there. And it's just very easy to generate value with them without putting them in harm's way, which is huge.
No, they're so good. Like, I like marksman clones are one of those shooting regiments that I put really like up there. Like they're this is what if you want to be a really good shooting regiment, like marksman clones is something you want to look at.
Yeah, they're one of the premier shooting regiments in
And
Conquest, I would say.
I would also they're kind of a faction defining regiment. Like them.
Yeah.
Well, Stricks, Incarnate, Sentinels, like those three, they're very faction defining for what they're doing with the faction and for the faction.
Mm-hmm.
Should we get into the Lineage Highborn and all her fun and games?
Yeah, that sounds good with me.
Perfect. All right, Lineage Highborn. What is she doing? What does she want to do?
So her whole spiel is her warlord trait, which turns her into the super character with 3 mutations. Those mutations are invariably command pheromones, Pheromantic override, and cascading degeneration. And you put her in a block of sentinels, and it makes your opponent cry.
Yeah, it really does. How many sentinels are too many sentinels?
7. I mean, I don't run over 5, but I guess if you had the points, you could run 6. I wouldn't, but the once you start to get above that, it's definitely too many. I wouldn't run more than 5. I would stick it to 4 or 5, with 5 being the ideal.
Can I confederate anyone? Nope. All right.
Only I can.
Yeah. Wait. Only you can?
I don't know. That'd be funny because I'm the emperor. You don't get to steal my empire.
I can steal your empire. Do it through diplomacy. Yeah, she's really good. I do like her supremacy ability of just picking a bunch of stuff and then just kind of building your own just what you need to do. Like being able to take 3 mutations is very strong, and then I believe you get the big one with Pheromantic override for it's 60 points. Doesn't she make it cheaper or something?
She just gets all the mutations for free.
Yeah, so that's even better.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell me the combo of Incarnate Sentinels and Lineage Highborn? I know it, but I would like you to tell me it so that people who are listening to this and watching this wonderful game of Total War Warhammer know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically just it goes in the unit and it does stuff. The unit hits the table turn 3.
Okay, sorry. What are the 3 mutations you're taking with her? Let's start with that.
Oh, sorry, I said that 3 minutes ago. It's always cascading degeneration, Pheromantic override, and command pheromones.
Then my apologies. I might have missed it while I was doing diplomacy.
That is fair.
Yeah.
Always those 3.
Those are really good. Okay, now please go ahead with your turn 3 Incarnate Sentinels.
Yeah, so it hits the table turn 3 and it goes where you want them to go. Oh no.
30. Okay. Please continue on your. Wow, people died. On your Incarnate Sentinels. So turn 3, they come onto the table.
Yeah, they hit the turntable, or they hit the table turn 3, and they just immediately start getting value. You can use Pheromantic Override to give them a free march and just get them onto his own and start scoring. And Spires' early game scoring is weaker than it used to be without the Executor in VCI. So that is just, it's nice. You don't do it all the time, but it's nice when you have the opportunity to pull it off. But immediately, it's just a death brick. And so holding it till the end of 3 to make your opponent force or respond and be guessing on its deployment. It's just, they show up, it's your super death brick of 500 points, and it's what Spires do when they want it, because they can March Charge Clash on turn 4, they can take an upgrade, and then March Charge Clash, or they can take a Pheromancy for Dread, and March Charge Clash. They can charge Double Clash. They can just March Charge, and then kill something with impacts, and wait for they show up and wait for something to charge them, and then clash into it after they get charged. It's just, they have so much flexibility while having that free clash in the sync. And so saving it, obviously you don't want to hold it too long, but saving it for the opportune moment is huge, because then your opponent has to play around what you're doing.
Yeah, no, I think like one of the early games with Skillin when he was learning Spires, he used his Pheromantic Overdrive to march. Then, sorry, he used it to charge. What the hell did he do? No, he did something really weird. Oh, he marched he marched charged, and then he used it to clash. And I was like, okay, you're giving up inspired. That was it. He did it in like the wrong order to get a more optimal like damage done.
Yeah, and if it's more optimal damage, like if it's the charge clash and march, or yeah, if it's the march charge and then the clash later, like yeah, that's fine because you're still getting the value you need to.
Mm-hmm. Am I gonna confederate this guy? Don't want to confederate him because I have no money. I need to go kill vampires for money. There we go. Yeah, it's really good, and like Incarnate Sentinels, just they're your hammer and your anvil. Like they can take a hit back, and I know some people will run like a biomancer behind them to like heal them up, or and just kind of keep them alive. Like there's a lot of things you can do with them in Spires. I tend to find. How about the mainstay, the avatara?
They are very good when they are superior creation. They are also the reason why I say that warband doesn't play well with others, because no matter what anyone else says, in a competitive environment, non-superior creation avatara are not worth it. Directorate avatara are not worth it, and it is just the truth. But then once you start running them at Clash 3 for 180, by God, they are such a good mainstay. They are one of the few mainstays in the game that I would consider taking 3-1 unrestricted. I usually take them 2-1s. Like, I will take 2 mainstays of Avatara and 1 restricted into that warband because that mainstay is so good.
It really is that good.
Yeah, it is quite fantastic.
Go my horse. There we go. Yeah. So like every time when I first had to deal with Avatara, and I looked at them, like their stats are really good too. Like especially their defensive stats, being defense 4 base, resolve 4 with evasion 2. Like that's a really good defensive stat line. And then them just having cleave 1 base, and if you pay the extra 15 going to Clash 3, like it's so good. Like their stat line is what I want Household Knights to be. And I always get a little sad when they're not. But I know Household Knights have more things going on for them.
Yeah, no, Household Knights have more attacks and more impacts. And Avatara, they're 40 points cheaper than the properly equipped unit of Avatara. And they are...
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I know. Like, I know why they are the way they are, but it's like that Clash 3 really, like, turns them up to be a unit that can like take a hit and deal damage. Like Avatar are great into killing just like chaff. Like if someone throws men at arms at you, like Avatar are gonna kill them. I've seen Avatar and Steel Temple get into a fight before, and Avatar probably should have won, but they didn't. But like they're just there's something you have to respect at that point.
Yeah, flat D4 has to be respected, and R4. Like flanking them, unless it has cleave, it will give value, but it won't give that much value.
No. Like, and being Clash 3, that's where the respect comes from, because like, okay, if they're Clash 2, you can hit them, and then you can get into a fight with them, but they're not gonna deal enough, like, get enough hits back on the Clash 2 to kind of deal with
Clash 3 is when they start averaging 9.66 cleave 1 hits. Like, for an MSU, it's very good.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I say that, because it's like, man, like Avatar and Household Knights they're not comparable, but like they kind of, depending on what you're doing with them, they do similar things. Like a lot of times they use Household Knights recently more as just like fast objective judge. You can anvil with that defense 4 and resolve 3.
Yeah.
And like they do a fantastic job like that, but like when Avatar come in, they're anviling and they're killing the chaff to then take the zone.
Yep. So, and Like it,
Fantastic.
they're just a good unit, and they work together in pairs. They're so fast, and they can run up a declined flank. And there's not a lot of things that peace trade well into them. Now, like they're not super happy when they run into things that actually peace trade well into them, like wardens. But other than that, like they're or trolls. But other than that, they're just chilling.
I watched a game a couple weeks ago where a guy had his Death Star Household Knight block charge across the table and like kill an MSU of Avatara, and then his opponent activated the other Avatar and just charged him to the side and like killed 3 of the 6. And I was like, yep, that was about to happen.
Yeah, and then that night block won't go anywhere for the rest of the game.
Oh
because
no,
that night
the Avatar killed them.
Yeah. To no one's surprise.
Yeah, that's how that ended. So it was kind of funny there. This double point mod is actually kind of fun. Who are you fighting now?
I like playing Hero Hammer. I have to go fight Kazrak.
he killed Todd, Boris Toddbringer. Toddy, no!
I think he did. I wonder if I can resurrect Toddbringer and then confederate him.
Or you can just take it for yourself.
But then I would get him back.
And then you wouldn't get Toddbringer back. Oh
no, but that'll make it'll bring Toddbringer back. And then I can recruit and confederate Toddbringer later.
What a name, Toddbringer. Like one of the best characters.
Ultra Chad.
Alright, what else is in this guy's warband? We got... Let's go. Centaur Avatara. I've kind of come around on them a little bit. Like, I think at the start of version 2, I wasn't really, like, looking at them very well, where I'm like, they're okay, but not, like... Because, like, Centaur Avatara and Incarnate Sentinels shared the same warband, and that a lot of Spires players needed that cleave too. It was kind of like, I can't justify Centaur Avatara. Was kind of where I was at with them. Now, however, with the changes to various factions and Spires internally, Centaur Avatara, are they making a comeback? What's going on with them?
I mean, I think they've been in a pretty good spot for a while, to be honest. Like, they're good, but they are, like, good as an MSU to accompany the Senate block. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where they'll generally stay. They'll get a little bit more playability around the Prideborn, but, like, in general, they're a good unit. They're a very good turn 3. They solo markers very, very effectively.
Yeah, double damage or 2 damage from impact, 2 damage from clash. They'll go through a marker.
Yeah.
So with the Lineage Highborn, is your warband mainly like 2 Avatara, Incarnate Sentinels, and then like 1 Centaur Avatara or a Siegebreaker? Like, is that how you tend to build it?
I don't put Siegebreakers in lists, really.
Well, that's our next guy. Why? Tell me about the Siegebreaker. Why don't you tell me what you like? Tell me what you dislike about him, and what's going on with him?
So his problem is
doesn't even start with the good things. Straight to problems.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like you can tell his good things on paper. He has Smite and Terrifying 2. I think he's 2 and Brutal Impact. He's good damage wise, but he just doesn't quite do enough. He's not great into Ashen Dawn, even though he punches them. And because they don't take resolve, his problem is he's really nice in Directorate, but like I said, Highborn doesn't really play well with others. Highborn doesn't like to run in Directorate. And that's the underlying issue with Siegebreaker. I really think if Prideborn got them, that would if Prideborn got Siegebreaker would be looking a lot better, because Siegebreaker does work well in Directorate. It's just you don't want to run a Highborn in Directorate.
Yeah. Like, I know, like, locally Skillin's been having a good time with him, getting stuff done and using him as like a tech piece. What, like, he's just not efficient enough, is it? Like is he too like too much of a scalpel kind of thing? That's his problem.
Yeah, he is too narrow in his role.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Like I've played into him a couple times, and it's really like, yeah, he can get in there, you can do some damage. He has a couple like very specific targets, but like he also has the like resolve 4 and defense 4, which is pretty good on a monster. That you don't see a lot of. So I'm just kind of like, and his 16 wounds, like it makes him tough, so he can like get his work done over and over again. But it doesn't. He goes down like everything else, and he just doesn't. I don't know. Maybe his damage needs to be more, but he has smite. Like maybe he's
his attacks got better because God, he was at 8 attacks and he just wasn't runnable. Yeah. But now he's like has more attacks, but it's still not quite enough. But like it can't be too much because he has smite. But then 50% of the game has evasion and doesn't care about smite. Mm-hmm. So like he's a little too much specialized. And like again, like I've played Skillin. And he's a pretty solid player. But, like, his Siegebreaker, like, the worst liability in his list that he ran into me. I think I even told him that. Like, it just did nothing and died.
Yeah, I'm not surprised about that. Like, I played Dwag into him a couple times recently now, and it's just like, this thing's annoying, but, like, it's not an end-all be-all.
Yeah, like, it's surprisingly tanky for a monster, which is kind of cute, but, like, it still dies, and, like, because everything in the game dies. So, like, it's nothing special.
Yeah, so, I don't know. What would you do to fix it, then? Or is that under NDA?
Oh, no, like, fixing it is literally just put it in, like, give it to Prideborn so that it sees play in Directorate.
Okay. Expand its warband. Yep.
Yeah, no, because it's fine when it's run in Directorate and has access to Burnout. Then it's like it's worth it for the points, and you can stick some other biomancies on it. Like it's good there, just not in. It's not good in Highborn because of the list that you build around a Highborn.
They're similar numbers. Yeah. No, like. What so what are some of the like the weaknesses with Avatara and Incarnate Sentinels? Because I don't think we talked about that.
Weaknesses, they're good defensively until they're not. Like, you get the unit into them that has that cleave 2, that cleave 3, that high terrifying, and they just melt.
Okay, so a dedicated hammer will just crush them then. So it's more like as the table progresses, as the board state develops, if your opponent gets their dedicated hammer that can do that work into them, they're gonna fall apart.
Yeah. Like city states with the lightsaber just kind of dismantles that scent block. Draybrood is painful. Like, just, and because they are such a key part of the list, you can't really play. You can't play coy and hide them from things, so sometimes you just have to accept, like, yeah, this unit is going to take a Thyrian charge, and there's nothing I can do about that. It sucks, but it's going to happen.
Okay. Yeah, it does kind of suck.
Yeah, nothing likes just taking a Thyrian charge.
No. So now we get to your favorite character. You excited for this one?
Sure.
Mimic Assassin.
We're actually not talking about the Mimic Assassin.
No. You get your ass back in there. You're talking about the Mimic Assassin.
Don't play it.
Okay,
like,
so what?
Actually, just don't.
Okay, so what's going on with the Mimic Assassin? Why is he not good?
He doesn't bring a warband. Dueling isn't relevant to build on. Giving him cascading and putting him in a regiment is just worse version of the Executor doing the same thing. And I mean, that's about it. Like, characters have to do a lot to be worth the points. Spires have a lot of characters that are worth the points. Medic is just not one of them.
Okay. Deal with this thing. Explode. Yeah. There we go, he's dead.
Yeah, I don't, maybe a points drop and something. I don't know. I leave that up to Leo to find something. I'm sure that in a few years he'll be very playable and we'll laugh about how we thought that he wasn't.
Well, not that he wasn't, or it's more like he doesn't have a place, it seems. Like, everything else in Spires has, like, a place, and he doesn't. And it hurts him.
Yeah. No, that's a pretty apt way of describing it, to be honest. Yeah, he just, you don't want to bring him for, like, any real reason. Like, I see him in new player lists.
Yeah, because, like, I find a lot of new players value dueling, and it's like, oh, he duels! Like, in Warhammer, you would duel! And it's like, no, this isn't fantasy. You're not dueling, please stop. And that's what I tend to find what happens. I have a building of it. Oh, it's the fort. It's like trying to figure out which one it was. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure I spent money on everything. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, like, I know he can join any warband, but
There's no, any unit that you want him in would be better served by another character. Like,
or more stands. He's 90 points. Like,
yeah. Like
more stands seems to work better. He's a weird guy. Lineage Highborn. Is this thing coming out the way it roughly is?
Highborn?
Or is that breaking? Say. Is that, yeah, it's breaking NDA.
Should be pretty close, but
good enough.
But yeah, she's good and slots very well into a directorate list. Someone is going to run her as a warlord and make their local community very sad and convince them that it's overpowered, but it's not.
I thought that was going to be you.
No, I'm not going to do that. Like, it's just like, yeah, the ability is cute, and like giving force-grown drones impacts, I guess. Like, it's cute, sure, but it's really, it's not game-breaking, and it's not as good as the other supremacies and that kind of thing. But she slots really well into directorate, like, really well.
Yeah, if she's doing that, then she's gonna be having a good time. Alright, now I'm fighting the vampire, so hopefully you can deal with the rest of the empire. You're going, lady. So, like, tell me about her. Like, what's strong about her? Like, she's very much a shooting character. And she has her hunter-killer teams. Like, what the heck? Oh, 'cause she does prey.
Yeah. So, making centaurs do more is a very cute thing, and it's a very fun part of the warband. I like that. Mm-hmm. It's very thematic. She is just a super Leonin, and Leonin are incredibly good. Leonin are, like, really the cell is mainstay Leonin.
Yeah, and she takes them as mainstay. She doesn't take Siegebreaker. That's so weird.
Yeah, like, she needs Siegebreaker. Yeah. And then she's fine.
Ruthless Sovereigns. I haven't really looked at her. May not take more than 2 regiments of Leonin or Centaur. Yeah, makes sense. But you could just take 2 of each and call it.
Exactly.
She's Barrage 4, range 14. She's speed 7. Does the Leonin... Where are they? You guys have fluid? Yep, they have fluid.
Yep. Leonin are very good.
They're AP2 with deadly shot. So they're basically AP3.
Yes.
At least they're Barrage 3. Oh my god.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
They're balanced. Perfectly balanced.
Fucking hate you.
Like, they're expensive. They're not.
Yeah, they're 180. Don't get me wrong.
But they're not that good.
No, they things that keep them in line. Price tag, range 14, barrage 3. Like those are I think the big 3 that keep them in line to be reasonable. They're going to be strong, they're going to do a lot of work, but they're not, like you said, they're not going to take over the world or anything. What's going to be good for everyone else?
Yeah, so like Leonin slot perfectly as a mainstay or as a restricted into Pride or Highborn, and they slide very nicely as a mainstay on Prideborn in a directorate list.
Mm-hmm. It's good.
And so yeah, they will see a lot of play, and it'll be nice to not have to rely on Marksman. Like I'll still run Marksman with the Leonin, but it's nice to, in theory, not have to rely on them.
There we go. Yeah, I like them. So, so we kind of covered the whole faction. Is there anything else you want to kind of talk about here with them? Like something we might not have touched on or anything like that?
I'm trying to think, but not really. I don't know. I guess Spires have the best internal balance in the game.
Okay, so what do you mean by that?
Every unit is playable in a competitive list. Somewhere. Oh no, Kemmler's here.
I have to go fight Vlad, and he has 2 armies. Oh.
Yeah, I've got to march Franz back from fighting the orcs.
Oh, Gunamancy! Oh my god, he's got like 4 fucking heroes. Oh, this is gonna be rough. I have to fight this battle, because I'm gonna have a valiant defeat. Oh boy. Should have killed Vlad and then ran and take the city.
Yeah. I mean, those blood knights are scary. Actually, the Varg heists and the flying stuff is really scary for Gunmancy.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be real rough. I don't think she's on her dragon yet. I was gonna recruit another Gunamancy army. No, I do like Spires. I do like how you have such good internal balances and that everything does come together and works really well together. What are some combos of Spires that you use a lot of, like between warbands and together?
Really, it's just slotting in something with the Pheromancer plus the Executor and the standard builds. So yeah, you'll have I guess your bread and butter is going to be Brute Drone, or like Pharaoh into double Brute Drone to pull a combo out. A lot of them revolve around Pheromancer and Biomancer. Yeah, this is interesting.
So I can't ask questions because I gotta deploy.
Yeah, no, I know that's and I'm watching this and also waging a Discord war, but
oh god,
when am I not? Yeah, yeah. So those are the bread and butter combos. It's really just Pheromancer using Pheromancies, and then the rest of the list just kind of plays itself. I'll do a Pheromancer combo, and then I'll just peace trade a bunch, and then just kind of my opponents pull stuff off the table.
Speed this up. I know what he's doing. He's waiting for the rest of his army to show up.
Yeah, they're always programmed to do that, which means you can just bombard the shit out of them.
Yeah, but I didn't set it up to bombard the shit out of them, but I will take this one regiment. Oh, Graveguard? Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, we'll take that. Yeah. Um. Yeah, I guess I don't know if that's kind of it for Spires. There's a lot going on for Spires for sure. What I do enjoy, it's just kind of weird.
Yeah, like it's so much. They are a very character based faction. So like, if you kill all their characters, they will probably not be having a good time, and they will probably lose. Because they're very character dependent. Like the Pheromancer is a huge portion of just the army's combo mechanics.
There we go. Oh boy. Okay, guns. I hope you win.
So yeah, I'm trying. It all comes down to like character combos and that kind of stuff. So they don't have a good time when stuff can duel their characters. Even with dueling not breaking anymore, losing the scoring, losing resolve, losing inspire, it sucks. That scent block has a really bad time when the Highborn when the Highborn has to turn down duels, which she does from basically city states killy characters, OD killy characters, and Dweg killy characters.
Mm-hmm.
Or in hyper focus mode.
I am. I gotta deal with 2 armies. Not something I was super excited for.
This looks like it's going pretty rough.
Yeah, it is. I'm gonna call that one. I don't need to sit here and play that. I know I'm gonna lose that one. Yeah, I know. I should have played that differently. That's okay.
Yeah, I gotta go pull Franz down and hopefully start making some moves before my stuff goes in. Or we just tell people that we won.
Or that. Or we call it. Because it is like getting to 10 o'clock, and I think we're done with Spires, and it was kind of just play a game while talking about Spires.
Yeah, exactly. I think we are pretty much done with Spires.
Yeah, so I had to hyper-focus there, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not talking anymore. It's like, it's not going to go bad.
Yeah,
if I had to fight one of his armies, I probably would have done it, but no, I was going to get mobbed, and I didn't really want to deal with that crap.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But thank you.
Of course,
thank you for the chat. Wait for this to load, and I can be like, yeah, I totally did it. Nope.
Yeah, I'll let that, and then I'll close it out. But yeah, this was a good time.
No, thank you. I'm dead. Bound to happen. Fucking vampires. The worst. Vlad is known to do this. No, thank you very much for coming on and chatting with me. Playing some Total Warhammer, been getting into it a bunch, especially with the new DLC. So glad that we could chat.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure.
Hope people who listen to this enjoyed it. While there's times where it's like, oh, I gotta focus up, actually win the game. Maybe I should stick with just Elden Ring, because then I could just zone out with that one.
I don't know how you zone out with Elden Ring, but not Total War. But you know what? To each their own.
Elden Ring is very much like it's muscle memory. While Total War, I gotta actually think of putting stuff places, and I gotta use my brain. While Elden Ring, you kind of just get to a point where you just murder Roomba everything. Like you know what you're if you play a game enough, you know what they're gonna do to you, so you know the counter already.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I've been playing Souls games since 2011, so it's all the same.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, man. Hopefully, maybe we should play on TTS again at some point.
Absolutely. I always love TTS games.
I know, because we live in different countries, and it's hard to get together sometimes.
Exactly. I get most of my games on TTS now.
I think Ben gets all his games in TTS now.
Yeah, he does.